Hello and good evening. You are watching our live RTD channel. Welcome to this English news edition. Here are the major stories. Government in the Anglais Stadium, the population of several quarters of Bulaus participate in the meeting. Assembly IPU closing of training for young parliamentarians. And on the regional scene in Libya, General Haftar on the diplomatic visit to Greece. Those were the headlines. Thanks for joining us in our newsroom. After his tour and visit in Balbala municipality, the Prime Minister, His Excellency Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed, and members of the government went to Bulaus municipality in order to hold a meeting with the officials and the head of this municipality in Hassan Guledi Stadium. Upon his arrival on this municipality, the Prime Minister received a warm welcome and held an important meeting with all the responsible and members of the community residing in the municipality of Bulaus. He also received detailed information about the living condition of the resident living in this municipality by officials and the public and civil society. This event include an exchange of opinion and ideas on ways to find solution to the problems raised during the meeting. Let us note that many members of the government and high-ranking personality in the country have participated in this event. In her intervention, the Secretary of State in charge of Solidarity, Ms. Muna Usman Naden, took the floor and explained the importance of exchanging with the representative of the commune, namely the women and young people of the civil society, on the difficulties met by the population in order to find answers to the requests of the community leaders at a time of the meeting of proximity of the government. She also recalled that the exchange made it's possible to make a broad overview of the various social and economic problems encountered by the population of this different district of Bulaus neighborhood. A delegation from the Parliamentary Union, led by the President of the Union, Ms. Gabrielle Barron, visited Djibouti and met through these high-level Djiboutian authorities, including the Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamel Mohammed and the speakers of the Parliament, His Excellency Mohammed Ali Hamed. The visit of the delegation of the Parliamentary Union coincided with the holding of the workshop to strengthen the capacity of youth and parliamentarians, which is currently being held in the National Assembly. The Parliamentary Union is an international organization consisting mostly of the world's parliamentarians, and it is an institution concerned with promoting parliamentary diplomatic between Djibouti and the people of these. During the workshop on strengthening the capacity of parliamentarians is being conducted with the activation of experts from the Parliamentarian Union. This workshop also aims to empower youth and is one of the main strategy goals in an intervention by the President of the Parliamentary Union, Ms. Gabrielle, in front of the young parliamentarians in the National Assembly. She pointed out to the importance
and that means that the world is changing, that after 130 years I am the second female president of the IPU and the only young parliamentarian. So it's going to be up to you to continue this tradition and to continue having young and dynamic and enthusiastic voices reaching parliamentary diplomacy and doing their best to change the world.
In his turn, the President of the National Assembly, Mr. Mohammed Ali Hamed, praised the positive progress in the file of gender equality and in the file of combating violence against women, and explained that two bills on these two topics are currently being discussed in the National Assembly. After adopting these two projects, it will allow to improve gender equality and effectively combat violence against women and girls. The President of the Assembly stated that the visit of the President of the Parliamentary Union is important to reinforce the strong relation that exists between the National Assembly and the Parliamentary Union. He also noted that the Parliamentary Committee for Legislations will be named the Legislation, Public Administrations and Human Rights Committee. On the sidelines of this visit, a delegation of the Parliamentary Union, led by the President of the Federation, Ms. Gabriella Barron, toured the headquarters of the House of Representatives, accompanied by the speakers of the House of Representatives, His Excellency Mohammed Ali Hamed, and officials from the National Assembly. The delegation from the Parliamentary Union received details information about the tasks of the House of Representatives and the various parliamentary committees, as well as a closer look at the various facilities affiliated with this parliamentary institution. At the end of this visit, they took a memorial photo that brought together the President of the Parliamentary Union and the members of parliamentarians and the speakers. The Minister of National Education and Vocational Training received at his office on Thursday the Ambassador of the United States of America, a credit to our country, Ms. Larry Odway. The meeting took place in the presence of the Secretary General of the Ministry of National Education and Vocational Training, Mr. Mohammed Abdullah Mahyoub, and the Director General of the Ministry of Research, Information and Production Centers, Mr. Sayed Nur Hassan. This meeting provided an opportunity for the Secretary and the American diplomatic to discuss the issues of following up the progress made on projects supported by the American cooperative through the United States Agency for International Development. The American ambassador thanked the minister for the good reception and the generous hospitality, planning at the same time that continue and enhance his countries' contribution to the educational system and more generally for the youth of Djibouti. It was yesterday a workshop was held to discuss circulating recommendation related to the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. The Secretary General of the Ministry of Women and Families, Ms. Anissa, the Secretary General of the National Union of Djibouti Women, Ms. Fatouma Moussa, and the Secretary General of the National Commission of UNESCO, Mr. Mohamed Moussa, in addition to the qualification and trainers of Women's Association in the interior participate in this workshop. This regularly organized event aims to promote women's rights and combat discrimination against women in Djibouti society. To achieve these goals, an effective framework has been put in place that training courses have been implemented, which enables women to obtain knowledge and awareness of their rights. In her speech, the Secretary General of the National Union thanked all the societies participating in this workshop, as well as the Minister of Women and the Families for their cooperation in holding this important workshop on the combating discrimination against women. She emphasized that it is necessary for women to take advantage of these courses in order to be able to understand their rights as much as possible. For his part, the Secretary General of the National Commission of UNESCO thanked the official for organizing this kind of session in order to promote and develop women's rights. For his part, the Secretary General of the Ministry of Women and Families explained in her intervention to the importance of women enjoying their rights in society. In this society, she noted that the Djiboutian woman has received many training courses that enable her to obtain knowledge and full knowledge for her rights within the community. She thanked all the women participating in these courses from the 5 interior region. The acting Secretary General of the Ministry of Health, Mr. Dr. Meki Mohamed Moussa, presided over a ceremony last Thursday to receive a large batch of health materials for the Dar al Hanan Reference Maternity Hospital. This ceremony, which took place in the maternity wards, was attended by the director of Dar al Hanan Maternity Hospital, Mr. Misa Hawa Hassan Gesud, the Director General of CAM, Dr. Ahmed Hussein, and Director of Mothers and Child Health, Ms. Fatouma Ali Abdullah. This equipment acquired for 35 millions of our francs is mainly intended for neonatology service and will improve the quality of care offered to the mothers and newborns in Dar al Hanan. They are essentially made up of operating tables, pediatric scopes, and electric pushers that will strengthen the neonatology department by ensuring the reception of this batch of biomedical equipment. In his speech, General Secretary of the Ministry of Health, Dr. Meki Mohamed Moussa, stressed the need to raise the technical platforms of structures of 3 levels to have quality care for our citizens. The Secretary General of the Ministry of Health, Dr. Meki Mohamed Moussa, did not fail to express his satisfaction to the Director of Dar al Hanan Maternity for his accusation, which aims to raise the quality and capacity of care of this maternity. It was at first for the RTD, which is regulating the production of its program to the region in order to bring the RTD closer to its listener throughout the territory and to improve television programs at RTD team, including technical and production team, and the host went yesterday to Tajora to record the program on the spot. The prefect of the Tajora region was used as a setup on a stadium to record the program for the students hosted by Mariam Buha. The aim of the program is to encourage children to improve their knowledge of general culture and strengthen their civic duty. Tajora students were delighted to physically participate in the show for the first time they will discover on television during the programming on national channel. Thanks to the recollating of its productions instead of being only inspectors, the school children of Tajora have become the actors of their own show in their region. The regional authorities and parents welcome the RTD initiatives, congratulating in and asking for the continuation of these types of initiatives that will forge strength links. The productions is an initiative of directors of the RTD with the support of the prefecture of the region council of Tajora and the collaboration of the MENFOB, in particular the regional inspectors of Tajora. The RTD does not intend to stop in Tajora. All the region will welcome the regulation of the production for their different channels. The regional schools sports activities start under the leadership of the National Education Inspector Ahmed Hamadi Ibrahim in the schools yards of Ali Sabih schools yesterday morning, Thursday, to launch the inter-schools sports tournament. So the participation of several officials, including the deputy prefect and the acting prefect of the region, Mr. Khadar Idris Sugi, the president of the regional council, Umar Ahmed Wais, the head of various secretary bodies in the region, official of the decentralized service of the state, and schools heads of educational advisor, teachers, and many students, tutors, and others anonymous. Also present was the UNHCR representative, the head of the local UNHCR office in Ali Sabih, alongside dozens of a team from schools in the region. Students from the refugees camp schools are taking part in the various sport events. The events began with the parade of all the sport teams invited to these school sport activities. The headmasters of the house base school at the reception of this opening ceremony of the sport competition welcome everyone to his school. The head of Menfob sport units in the region of Kumani Jama thank the official and other participants for the honoring their presence at the launch of school sport activities in the region. For his part, the region's Inspector Ahmed Hamadou Ibrahim announced that school sport is a vector of education that allows students to learn about life in society and responsibility, and all this is therefore the start of a long chain of action and support for the youth that we must work tirelessly to give this magnitude society as a test for the practice of sport culture knowledge of this practice and convince them to do so in order to prepare them to be in turn the future leaders of the country. Concerning the leaders of the region, they welcome this initiative at its true value, but by qualifying it is an opportunity for the perfect integration. Moving on to the regional scene, Libya General Haftar on diplomatic visit to Greece. Marshal Haftar continues his diplomatic tours in Greece. The East Libyan strongman met Greek Foreign Minister Nicola on his arrival in Athens on Thursday evening before being received this Friday by the Prime Minister, Mr. Kyriakos, Marshal Haftar is waving the war against the UN recognized and Ankara-based national unity government of Athens opposed the November agreement between Faisal Sarraj and Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, which allowed Turkey to assert rights over large areas in the eastern Mediterranean. These diplomatic talks in Athens comes at a time when Greece has not been invited to the Berlin Conference, which aims to relent to the peace process, and when the ceasefire in forces since Sunday is reportedly being broadly. This is it for this edition. Thanks for watching and have a good Friday night.